Hello, and welcome to my podcast. This is Revived Yarns, and I am Emily. I'm on Instagram as Revived Yarns and Ravelry as Emily 1116. Okay, so I'm just got everything ready. My husband is off this week, but had a work thing anyway, so he's doing that, and I have about 45 minutes before my son gets off the bus. So I thought I'd do a podcast. So I am wearing, which you can't really see, a Simplicity sweater by Marion Crivelli. I knit this in 2018 on a size 6 needle, and it's unraveled silk and cashmere. So you can kind of see, oh yeah, that's nice. You can see the strand of silk. It was from a giant men's silk sweater that I found at a thrift store for like super cheap. I was so excited. And I held it with, I think, 2 strands of cashmere, both in a pale white. I actually have, I made a sweater for my daughter too with it, and a cowl. I had so much yarn. But I plied these strands together with my e-spinner, and I didn't like ply one strand and another strand and another strand and then ply those together, which I could have done, but I didn't really care. I mainly just wanted them held together so they didn't knit up unevenly, because that can happen when you just ball strands together without plying them. But I wear this sweater all the time. It's really oversized. It was seamless construction, so you just knit the top down, I believe, too. Yeah, it was. And then you pick up for the sleeves and you knit down. And I'm actually kind of surprised there's so few patterns on projects on Ravelry. And I think I need to make another one because it really is my most worn sweater, I think. All the others are raglan shaping, I think, or round yoke. But this one I seem to go for all the time. Also, because it's super soft. And I used a size 6 needle. So I have finished a few things. I think that last podcast like lit a fire or something. So I finished the corner to corner blanket. It is really big. I haven't washed it yet. Wow, that's just all blanket. Yeah, it's huge. I can't even get this all on the screen. But I need to wash it and dry it. And I'm just going to dry it in the dryer and see if it'll shrink up, because it's a very light open knit, which is not bad, but I kind of want to see how much it will shrink, if at all, just so that I know like if there's a recipient in mind, if it's better for a baby blanket or if it could be used as an adult throw, because it's definitely big enough right now. So that is done. That was unraveled 95% cotton, 5% cashmere on size 3 needles. And I finished my Cinnabar by Andrea Mowry. The yarn was Cascade Luminosa, this dark one, which is one of those chainette yarns with the blown in, and then an unraveled cashmere, so this side. So it was an unraveled Ann Taylor sweater, 100% cashmere, pretty thick yarn. The strands were not plied together, but that's fine. It's easy to knit with that kind of stuff. It also has not been blocked. And I used a heavier weight yarn than what Andrea Mowry calls for. So I didn't do as many repeats, and I kind of wish I had, because it is already giant. I mean, this is a big, big shawl. Keeps me plenty warm, or it will keep me plenty warm. But, oh, got weird. Very hard to style a shawl well on camera. But I kind of wish I'd gone for just ridiculously giant. but this I think will fit better inside my coat anyway. So yeah, this one has been on the needles for a long time. So it was nice to finally get it off. And it's so squishy and soft. Maybe I'll try and block it out bigger. See if I can get more giant shawl. And then this one also not blocked. Not great on the blocking things right now. It's not completely finished either. It needs buttons. But I finished my daughter's little sweater, which actually is like giant. My gauge must have been off because it's so wide. It fits her okay. It's baggy, but I mean, she's 6. She likes it. So I just did sweater, and I only had enough for short sleeves. But that's fine because she can just layer, put one of her shirts underneath. So I need to get 3 buttons, I think. Yeah, 3 little buttons, which I have a large stash of buttons because I've gotten them at thrift stores at random times. And then I just sort them by color in little plastic containers that I get at the dollar store. So yeah, that needs to be blocked. It's super wash, so it might actually stretch down some if I want it to, but it will fit her for quite some time. Another thing that I kind of finished was a spinning thing. I think I showed last time, yes, the singles for this. So I just plied this with itself on my Magic Wrapped Little Gem. And so it's 2 ply. Since I haven't finished it yet, I'm not sure what it will be, but definitely a heavier weight, though I'm sure there's a few spots that are kind of thin. But it's got all sorts of colors in there. There is some Stellina or Angelina, the sparkly yarn, the sparkly threads, and mostly wool, I think mostly merino. But yeah, my daughter and I made these, so I always love the look of the ends. It looks so neat and tidy. This side, for some reason, does not look as neat and tidy. I think I must have lost control there of it feeding on at some point. So that needs to be taken off the bobbin because I am going to need that bobbin for my other spinning, which I haven't actually done much of since last time because our living room is kind of a mess, and so it's hard to spin when it is, though that thing takes up so little space that I'm sure I could spin plenty. Okay, so I started 3 new projects because I finished 3, right? I finished 3, I can start 3. I did feel like I was just casting on everything though, because I did swatch for quite a few things that I ended up not doing. I really want to use some hand spun and make, I was looking into the Shifty sweater by Andrea Mowry because that is a great way to use hand spun to do the either mosaic or 1x1 color work, because then you don't have to worry about how the colors change. But she uses a lot of spin cycle, which is very similar to hand spun because that's how they started. Actually, I went to the spin cycle store here in Bellingham yesterday. My husband and I went and walked around downtown. We live very close to Bellingham, so because his day was off, we went downtown, had lunch at Taco Lobo, which is a really good place that we go to, or we used to go to a lot. Yeah, it was really nice. Anyway, I didn't actually buy anything because I'm trying to use stash, as evidenced by this other thing that I started, because I finished that corner to corner blanket and used up almost all of that cotton cashmere. It was so nice to just take that out of my stash that I decided to grab another cotton yarn that I had. This is actually a cotton acrylic viscose blend, which is totally, not sure if you can get that color. This is so much more purple in real life than this, but it's got a couple strands of different colors. So this yarn is made up of, basically, it looks like just individual sewing threads, 6 of them, 4 in this maroon and 2 or 3 or 4, I don't know, it's hard to count such tiny threads, of a dark purple. So it creates a nice thing, but this is too, I didn't want to work with something so thin, so I'm holding 2 together, and I have weighed the total amount that I have, and we'll just knit until I'm about halfway through that, and then I will start decreasing because I'm doing another corner to corner blanket because it's such a great way to use that. So I've gotten this far. It's another pretty open one because this yarn is so soft when it's really squishy. So I'm using size 8 needles, Chiaogoo interchangeables, pretty much all I use. I do have a few fixed circulars of the smaller sizes, the 16-inch, yes, for like hats. But I don't love using them because the needle itself is shorter and it hurts my hands. The way I hold my needles, I need the whole length. So this is well on its way. It's a great project for just sitting down and kind of mindless while I watch podcasts. So yes, this is another good project to get this out of my stash. And then I started another blanket because I had ordered a bunch of knit picks, like a giant box, some point in the pandemic. And I'm trying to use it up because I just do. I bought it. I need to use it. So I got knit picks Brava Sport acrylic in the Denim and Solstice Heather. And I have a few skeins left over. I made a brioche blanket with them and didn't use it all. So I have at least 5 or 6 skeins left. So I am doing the Optic blanket by Purl Soho. And right now it's not in a very good place to show you, but these are what the squares look like. And they are knit from the outside in, which means you have to cast on quite a few stitches. But it also means you don't have to cast any off because you just cinch it together. It's a free pattern on Purl Soho's website. I am using US size 6 needles, and I've done 4 squares. So because they attach, you pick up stitches along this edge. So I've done 4 in a row, and then I folded them all together and used these little plastic stitch markers to hold it together because you're constantly turning it while you're working. And it was getting it a huge twisted. It was like when you do sweater sleeves and the body of the sweater is just all twisting, but worse because it was a long train of squares. So I'm really liking it. I don't know, I don't have anyone in mind for it, but I'm being very good and I'm weaving in the ends after every square. And because they're joined together, when it's done, I'll be done. I'm planning a 4 square by 4 square at least. I will see how many or how much yarn I have left after I do that. And then add another row of 4 squares or possibly do a border. I don't know if that would change the look of the blanket too much. Hopefully it works out perfectly and I use up all my yarn and have the perfect amount of squares, right? That is the goal. So that was another cast on. I'd actually cast this one on first because I was like, I can do a blanket, but wanted something that would use those 2 colors together. And then it was a little bit too not mindless. I've memorized the pattern now, so I don't need to reference it at all anymore. But it was just not mindless enough and sometimes a little fiddly. I'm doing magic loop actually because I didn't want to have to deal with DPNs after, so I've got La Long cable. I didn't want to deal with DPNs as it got smaller, and I don't really like using the 16-inch circulars on projects much at all unless I have to. So magic loop, so a little fiddly sometimes. So that's when I cast on the corner to corner blanket in the cotton. And then because I only have the brioche sweater on the needle still, and I'm working on my sleeves. And brioche on sleeves, right at the armpit where it's like so much bulky sweater. It's just not pleasant right now. And I have to use the 16-inch circulars because Magic Loop wasn't doing it very well. So yeah, it's just not pleasant. So I cast on, I have this wool cashmere blend, close to bulky weight unraveled yarn. So I believe it's 80-20. So 80% wool, 20% cashmere. In this really nice gray. It's not super bulky, so I'm doing it at a loose gauge, which will probably mean it will pill, but I'm okay with that because I wanted a light sweater. And also I don't have much because I think the sweater I unraveled it from was knit very tightly, was very heavy, and a smaller size than I wear. So loose gauge should give me more. Anyway, I cast on this thing, which you can tell I have pulled out the needles because the body was way too wide, and the sleeves were not. I don't know if I missed increases. It was a free pattern that I found, and was just because I'm going to kind of go off, but I needed the numbers for starting out at this weight or gauge, and it was just so wide. So I was trying to increase more at the sleeves, and then I tried it on and it was just like, this ain't gonna work. So since I had done one whole entire ball, I just left it like this, and I cast on the Metropolis by Tanis Lavallee of Tanis Fiber Arts. And I've done her City Limit sweater before, and I finished her Rocket Tee, and then I ripped it out because I knit it way too loose of a gauge, and the size was wrong. I've been watching NJ Knits on YouTube. She has, I think, about 20 episodes. Not very many followers yet, but she's very funny because she has made a lot of projects that don't work out, and she says #not obstructed by perfection. She actually has an Instagram hashtag like that. I should check it out. I haven't looked yet. Anyway, so I forgot what I was saying. Oh, the Rocket Tee did not turn out well, so I unraveled it. I might try it again because I did like how it looked. It was just too big. So I cast on Metropolis. It's a turtleneck pattern, but I probably won't do a turtleneck. But I've got the numbers for the sweater increasing, doing the whole raglan shaping. I really should have just done a shaping like this because, yeah. But for some reason, I've decided that raglans, I like them too. Anyway, it's very nice. The fabric's nice. It's going to be very pleasant to wear. Very lightweight, which I like. Sometimes when you make a sweater, I've made a couple of cardigans, and they're just so heavy. You put them on and it feels like it's just dragging you down. I never wear them. So hopefully this will be a nice lightweight throw on like a sweatshirt, because I have a couple of gray sweatshirts that I love wearing in the wintertime. I just throw them over a tank top, and so I'm like, I should knit a sweater like that gives me that same feeling of a nice sweatshirt. So I'll probably just do pick up and just do a regular ribbing crew neck, and then ribbing at the bottom without any. I think the Metropolis has a really thick ribbing. I might not do that much. So those are my 3 projects that I cast on. I don't have, let's see, I haven't worked on my brioche sweater at all this week because I was finishing all those other things. And then I was going to show, because my husband and I went downtown yesterday, we went into Northwest Yarns, which is where I get my fiber. most cases. And they just started carrying recycled sari silk fiber. And this was the last of this color. I do not remember what it was called. And yeah, so my daughter and I are going to make Rolex because she's been begging to make Rolex. And I don't have a ton of different colored fiber left in my stash, except for felting projects. So I don't want to use all that up because a lot of it's Corriedale, and I don't love to spin with Corriedale. So this is going to make all her little Rolex dreams come true. I'm like, there we go. And then I also got this merino silk. I think a lot of yarn stores carry this type. It's like they just blend it together. So I got, I think, 4 ounces of this. And however much this weighed, I just told them I wanted the rest of it. So we are going to do this probably on black. Maybe some on black and some on white, because I do have a lot of undyed fiber. A lot. Probably too much. I need to dye it. But that involves a lot of work as well that I don't want to do. So those were my only acquisitions this week. I have been very good and not purchase things that I don't need, because I was going through my yarn stash to get out the cotton and the other stuff, and it was just so much. And I pulled out some of my hand spun to see if, so like I swatched for the shifty or for the throw over or a few of the Andrea Mowry patterns, because I was thinking about doing the DRK March to May knit along, but I can't decide. And I don't want to purchase a pattern before I've actually decided I want to knit it, because I've done that before. And then it just sits there in my Ravelry library and mocks me every time I go look for a pattern. So I think I need more, because I have probably 6 or 7 skeins of hand spun, but none of it really goes together, even in a sweater like the shifty. Like the shifty is supposed to use a lot of different colorways. It all blends together throughout. But I have ones like orange and brown, and then ones that are like teal blue, and I guess that would go together. Maybe I should swatch them together, but I'm not even sure they're the same weight. So they're all sitting downstairs, and I don't know. I should probably just put them away while I work on my 4 current projects. That would be best. So yeah, I'm glad I was able to record a podcast, because my husband was off this week. I didn't think I would, and then the work thing came up, just meeting with a client. All of his office is going. So, and they haven't been able to do that much in the past 2 years. So he figured he'd better go. And yeah, I thought I'd jump in and show you guys all my new whips, because I feel like the podcast last week, like, I was like, okay, you got to finish stuff and cast on new stuff so that you can show it the next time you podcast. But I've been watching some new podcasts. I found TinCanKnits, and oh goodness, there were a couple others that I watched. Night Sky Knitting recommended some in her most recent. She recommended the TinCanKnits and a couple others that I watched as well. I also started watching Crux Fibers. She's very North Canada knitter and spinner, and I started watching her because I wanted to find some more spinners. So those are a few that I've started watching, and I just sit and I watch podcasts and I knit and I look at my messy living room and think, why am I not cleaning? And I'm in my bedroom right now and I'm looking at all of the clothes that need to be put away, and I think, why am I not putting away clothes? Oh well, they'll still be there when I'm ready to do it. I should be teaching my children to put away their own clothes, right? Right. I only have 2 kids. They should be doing all the chores for me. Anyway, I'm going to go because my son's going to be home in about 15 minutes, and I have a little bit of things to put away before he gets here. So, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to, and I will hopefully see you next week.